Once upon a time, two boys grew up playing hockey in the village of Terrace, British Columbia. One of them went on to play in the National Hockey League. The other became a comedian. Now, one flies planes and coaches youth hockey. The other is still a comedian and owns newsstands. This is their podcast, Enjoying Orange Slices with Jeff and Ian.
Hello, Jeff. Welcome to the yearly wrap-up of the bi-monthly podcast called Enjoying Orange Slices, a show about hockey and sometimes life. Hello, Jeff.
Hello. Yes, we're back just in time to put a bow on the season.
Just
Kind
in
of waited.
time. Just in time to start the season.
Yeah, exactly. This is actually our training camp. Who to look out for in training camp podcast. But that's good. We got a lot of information to talk about, but we got to limit ourselves. We only got 40 minutes today, so we'll have to get as much travel in as we can early.
Have to get
Maybe
as much travel. I'm on the
talk
East
about some
Coast.
things.
I'm on the East
Yes.
Coast and you're on the West Coast, but up north.
Yeah.
Check this out. Some guy contacted me yesterday and goes, "What mine did you work in?" And I go, "I don't know." I described it. I goes, "Oh, I worked in Timmins, Ontario, and I wrote a book about how the whole town was in on skimming gold off the top of their mines there, like from the police department to the mayor's office. Everybody was getting." I was just like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, the whole town was just like scamming the whole thing." I was like, "Oh, Timmins." Yeah.
That's awesome. I guess he's never going back there. So
Yeah, I
it's
know.
like, take him down, take him down. Actually, talking about mining up in the heartbeat of Canada, Terrace, British Columbia, that's where I am. Great to be back home. Woke up this morning, it was 7 Celsius, 45 degrees Fahrenheit. So I put my 3 layers on and froze my butt off going out for a walk, but it is
You
perfect
sent
here
me
right
you,
now.
you sent me a picture. It looked like it was going
Yeah,
to be a nice day there.
awesome.
Are
You
you going to go
called
to the
it.
lake?
Go to lake. Yeah. I'd love to go to the lake. Actually, maybe I will. Yeah. Go walk around. Hey,
Go
but
put your toe in?
talk, yeah, exactly. I go do my polar bear swim. Um, I was coming up here the other day and this young lady was sitting behind me talking to the guy and she was talking about like mining. She's going into a camp. So she had to drive 6 hours yesterday morning and then a 15 to 20 minute helicopter ride into
No way.
into some camp, mining camp. She's a cook. I'm like, oh my goodness.
So where do
So
you think she's going? She's going up to Cassiar and then choppering in from there? Is that about
I'd
Cassiar?
have to guess somewhere north, well north of here, because if you go south, you can run into the ocean at some point and
Gonna
then
run into
some rocks.
sticks immediately.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
So
my God.
lots of resource. Talking about Timmins, Ontario, Terrace, British Columbia, lots of resources, minerals, mining going on up here,
Wood.
drilling. So wood,
Wood.
yeah, went by. They were working at the mill this morning, so it's all good. It's all good.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Mhm.
Love it. How long are you there for?
I'm here till the weekend, which today is Wednesday, so I'll leave Sunday and get back to where it's nice and balmy in Vegas at a buck 08, I
Oh
think. So yeah, it's nice and warm.
yes.
It's a dry heat.
It's a
It's a
dry
dry
heat, so
heat.
you'll be calm and collective.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know what I'm gonna do after this, but I tell you what you do when it's 45 degrees outside or 7 Celsius, you sleep really well. It's nice and cool.
You get a nice little frost coming off your breath.
It was a beautiful fall morning this morning,
That's so
July
funny.
9th.
I'm going to Nantucket this weekend, which is south and east of Boston.
That's excellent because we do have a soft spot in our heart for the Greater Boston
The
metropolitan area
greater
and
Boston.
Providence, Providence,
East
Nantucket, and
Providence.
Cape Cod. East Providence is our favorite. But now that we know where everything is there, that's good. And it's funny, after we were there, I flew in from the south and I was looking down like there's East Providence and there's Nantucket and there's Cape Cod. So
So
we
funny.
got to spend some more. I should come out and spend some time with you out there.
You
That's good
should.
times.
You should. It was hilarious. We drove to East Providence from Boston and we drove by Cape Cod and we're like, what? We had no idea it was around here. So
Yeah. Oh
yeah,
well.
yeah,
Talking about talking about Boston, maybe should we talk about their son, Brad Marchand, signing a 6-year deal, and they
in
lost him.
Florida.
He's going to Florida. He finally left the house. He left the nest.
He
And
left the nest and he retired in Florida.
he'll be able to
It's
go right into one of those retirement communities. We'll be
right
driving
into
around
one.
golf carts honking, "Hey Brad, how you doing?" Um,
Hey, cutting people off, yelling at him, getting
so
his nose in there. Um, Good for him.
awesome. If you look back in the season, uh, Florida, they've become this juggernaut, and now the aura around this team grows. Like everyone already is going, "Wow, okay, you might be pretty good, but who's going to beat Florida?" They're already crowning them for
Yeah.
3 in a row. Somehow they signed their free agents, Bennett, Ekblad, and Marchand. They got them all back. I think they're only like replacing one or two guys in their whole lineup. I know Nate Schmidt left to go sign Utah. Good for him.
Mm-hmm.
Really happy to see he
Smitty.
got a cup. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting what Florida does because they're like, well, this Stanley Cup thing, this is ours now. So good luck getting it from us. So,
Well,
um,
people are a little fired up, but at the same time, you can't blame them. You might as well go for it while you have the opportunity. You might as well
yeah.
you might as well do it for now rather than the future. Like you might, and some teams like they just let everything go after they win it, right? Uh, it's so they're hungry enough. Might as well keep going and just see where the wheels come off. The wheels are going to come off at some point, but you might as well
Well,
keep
if you
going
got,
until they come off.
yeah, when they come off, you're guaranteed you have at least 2 rings. You might have 3 or 4 by the time they come fully off. And
They might not be in a row, but they might be like,
mhm. Well,
like kind of like Chicago.
yeah. And the one thing I like about Florida and what they've done, and it goes back to Vegas, and I know, oh yeah, Vegas, Vegas. But one of the things that Vegas
Win
did is
now.
yeah, if you can take a 30,000 foot view of the NHL, and people are like, oh, the state tax, oh, the weather, it's all, this, that, and the other thing. That all plays into it now. But I know Bettman's not everyone's favorite, but he's done a good job with the league. He said it wasn't a problem 15 years ago, 10 years ago, right? And he's right, but things have changed. But these guys are taking less money to stay where they are because they have a chance to win. Not everybody's doing that. Hey, go get you money. But Bennett, I think we could all agree, could have got 10 million on the open market. Marchand pretty much could have got 8 to 10 million, I'm
I
guessing,
don't
on a
know if he would have
shorter
got
term
the
deal.
duration though, right?
No, but he on a shorter term deal. So I
Yeah,
guess what I'm saying is and then Ekblad's still a number one defenseman all day long. So what's he,
all
eight
roided up.
million? We he he's he's well rested, but he's in a position where he could have made a lot more money. So if you look at it, the win now and the way you are creative, what Vegas did 8 years ago, or it'll be their ninth season coming in, is they turned the
Already.
tables upside down,
Crazy.
right?
Yeah.
Upside down, Vegas did it. And now everybody's like scrambling, like we gotta win. And it used to be draft and develop and take your time, and it's gonna be hard. Now what Vegas has done is turn the tables, and it's like no one, you know, people don't want
Mm-hmm.
to have the patience anymore. And so it's Florida's like, yeah, we're going pedal down, and you know what, we're gonna play. Marchand got a 6-year deal, so if he's when his deal ends, he'll be 43. But
Yeah.
good for him and good for them for realizing the
Well,
intangibles this guy brings.
you can either go, there's two different types of things going on in the NHL. That's the team that drafts and develops, which some teams have to do because they don't have the extra things that Florida and Vegas are able to offer, right? But
Mhm.
then there's also Toronto, which is the take it every century, win every century.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what? Toronto's just trying to keep their fans alive because people say, I just want to live long enough to see my team win. So they're like in
Yeah,
110, 115 years old.
yeah, exactly. They've got the most centurions there is. I think looking at Toronto, like Marner signs in Vegas or they sign and trade, and everyone's like, he's the whipping boy. And I'm like, you haven't won a cup since '67, so take it easy on some of these guys. Like, if you want to start lining guys up, like the
Hmm.
teams got to the conference finals in the 90s, right? So you got to
Yeah,
be careful.
and
They're getting mad. Yeah.
they're considered champions, right?
Yeah,
So
like I mean, so it just goes to show you how difficult it is. But I was like, I find it kind of odd. Yeah, they haven't had success in the playoffs. It's tough, man. Like you got to have a lot of things go your way. If you look at Edmonton and Florida this year, both teams had a lot of things go their way to get where they were. And hey, don't get me wrong, those two were they were the best two teams. And then Florida just pulled away at the end. There wasn't a question about that. But it's like in Toronto, you lost in 7 games, and yeah, game seven didn't look very good. But you took the Stanley Cup champs, who just mowed over everybody else to seven
yeah,
games.
you're the
So it
only ones
wasn't
that
tough
they didn't
away.
mow on, right? Yeah, yeah, they were the
Yeah.
only ones. Yeah, so
And they got
well,
some
I'm
breaks.
sorry, I
Like
apologize.
so yeah. I think it's really interesting where things are in the league. Like
If
you have
you know what the way I look at it, more people should be
no,
mad at Pittsburgh for not beating Florida in that final game. You know, because
yeah, yeah, that's
if
true. They
Pittsburgh
created a monster.
wins, yeah, yeah, we can do
Yep.
this again now, boys. So, and I'm sure that's got to change a lot of teams. Okay, we just got to get there.
Yeah, like it's funny how you look at Florida. It's like, oh, it's the state tax, it's this and that. And if Pittsburgh would have beat Florida Florida would have never made the playoffs 3 years ago, right?
This
Or was
year,
it 2 years ago?
this
Or
year,
is it this year? No, no. They were good this year.
no,
Florida was good.
no,
Okay.
but, no, but they still had to. It was that last game or whatever it was. They needed to, they had all those injuries and they needed to win that game. Marchand wasn't even playing yet. So, they had all those guys on the shelf and they just needed to get in. So you look
Yeah,
at
well,
it, you look at it.
a couple of years ago they made it in by the skin of their teeth, right? And then
Yeah.
they took Boston out, but yeah, I mean, good for them. And you know what? It's either, they say it's a copycat league, but you got to be on your toes. And there's a whole bunch more pressure on the general managers now and executives in every
When you say
organization because the
copycat
league's
league,
changed.
they're all copying Vegas.
Hmm. Originally, but now they look and go, well, Florida's the new shiny toy. And if you look at Vegas, like I read an article about them the other day because it's not like the insider isn't here today, Darren Millard, but
He's on
well,
vacation.
Gary's the insider. Mallard just thinks he's the
Gary
insider,
just
but
doesn't like to go outside.
but I read an article and like they were talking about Eichel and some of the other guys, and they are not happy about the way things have gone the last couple of years because you look at some of these other teams like Edmonton and Florida's carried on, and Vegas feels like they're in a position to do the same thing. So we'll see with the acquisition of Marner.
Do you think Vegas needs goaltending still?
No, I don't. I think, I mean, did Edmonton's goaltending play better than Vegas's in their series? Yes, it did. But
No, but Florida's goaltending's fantastic.
yeah, and I mean, so now, but Florida's just all over you, and then they got the saves they needed. I don't know. I look at Florida. If they stay healthy, they're going to be tough to beat. But if you look at it, I don't know. Bobrovsky made the saves when he had to make them. Was he unbelievable until the team got going? Yeah, he was pretty darn good. He made those saves to let the team get going. And then, as far as a money goaltender now, pretty hard to bet against Bob.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Crazy Skinner and the other one. What's the other guy's name? I'm blanking
Pickard.
on. Yeah, Pickard. I want to call him Picard. Picard. They had their series before that, like those series before that, they had some unbelievable goaltending going on.
Yeah, they made the saves. And you know what? Edmonton got the bounces, but you make your breaks, right? And Florida got the bounces, but you make your breaks. And so, but their goaltending was in each series. I don't think you could. I don't think you could look at any series that Edmonton played before they got to Florida and say that their goaltending wasn't as good or better than the other teams. And the same with Florida. And then that turns into a little bit of an edge, and it gives your team confidence in front of you. And, Pickard's kind of almost like a folk hero in Edmonton. I don't know what they're going to do there because Skinner's so young, and he doesn't cost much. If they bring another guy in, does something, what happens to Pickard? Because he's pretty popular with that team. So it's going to be interesting to see. You don't really talk about a backup goaltender very often, like you do about Calvin Pickard. So good for him. I mean, you got to just tip your hat. What's going on in the back there? Cap chirping?
No, there's a bunch of talking going on in the kitchen. They decided that they were gonna just clean the kitchen as soon as I started talking. It's great.
Okay. Well,
It's great.
there's nothing you can do about it. So just enjoy it.
I've given up on life. I'm just trying to I'm in I'm just kind of in purgatory.
Hey, let me ask you a question. What did you think about the draft this year?
Thought it was boring. I thought they had a couple good ideas. One of them, it was sad that Boston's didn't, they weren't going to talk to Boston and they couldn't talk to Boston. I thought the helicopter ride to Anaheim was pretty cool.
Was
But you
awesome.
you could have done that if the complete draft had been in LA. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I think Anaheim had a great coming out party this year. I love the fact they drafted the young guy and right to Disneyland. He went, what a out of body experience that is. But what a nice way to say, hey, everybody, we're back. We're back in Anaheim. We've got Coach Q. We're coming for you. I
Anaheim's
thought it was
definitely
awesome.
back.
I love what they're doing there. And I think I love Coach Q being back. So I think it'll be really good. But is there like a recipe getting talked about back there? Or they
I don't
just
know.
don't
Just
even.
one second. Hey guys. Hey guys. Hey guys. Hey guys. Oh my God. I don't know what's playing in the background now.
I don't. Hey, you're taking a chance because there could be a frying pan come into the
What's
picture here. You
I
could be
know.
buckled. Like
Can you hear the music now? There's music playing in my what's going on?
this is kind of sums up our podcast as it went on this year. We've
Oh my
just
God.
kind of it's just
Just
kind of
wrap it
meandered,
up.
right?
Oh
That's
my God.
awesome.
Hold on. Let's see if I can turn off the music. Nope, I don't want to start listening to music. Where's that coming from? Hmm. Huh, hold on one second. Resume. Well, after all that, my God, there was just suddenly singing going on in the background in my head and all sorts of talking. Anyways, as we were talking about, the NHL's fine. What did
Well,
you,
I think we
what's,
agree that you just keep talking, and then all those voices will go away.
you know what? I don't think the NHL's fine.
Okay.
I'm going to put it out there. I think they should be very concerned about their ticket sales. I think they should be very concerned about their money. And I think them raising the salary cap is not the time to be doing it right now.
All right.
And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Ticket sales and everything, this is from agencies, are down 20% across the board to 26% across the board.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, if you get over your skis on money, right? w- That's going to affect you more than staying where you're at and coming back because everything's going to bounce back at some point, right?
Mhm.
So I'm just looking at it. And also the other thing, have you ever seen that meme where the guy's walking down the street and he's with a hot girl and then he's looking at another girl? That's the NHL and Atlanta. Like everything's going fantastic and they're busy looking at Atlanta,
Because
right?
it's Atlanta.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was just in Atlanta the other day, and I thought to myself, going in there, I thought this place is massive. And I've been in and out of Atlanta recently. It's not like I'm down there meeting with anybody, but just kind of looking at all of the big companies down there. And I think what they're looking at in Atlanta is this massive population base, but these massive companies that are headquartered down there. One of them being Coca-Cola, the other one Delta Airlines.
Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola. And there's other ones, but you know what? It's massive. And we stayed downtown and they get that brand new building downtown that the basketball team plays in, or a newer building.
Hmm.
And I think they look at, where can we get the sponsorship dollars? So if your attendance isn't quite what you think it should be. And that's kind of what I'm wondering. I agree. Like right now in Vegas, like, I mean, that's one of the places that people go to spend their money and have a good time. No different than a lot of other things like disposable income. That is a concern for everybody. And I agree. So maybe the NHL's like, well, if we go in here,
Better
we'll
take it
still
up to
have the
84
sponsor.
games.
Yeah, and we're going to take it to 84, and we still have the sponsorship money, and the TV deal is pretty good. So if we do hit a little blip in the road, we're going to keep expanding. We're not going to pull back.
But doesn't sponsorships, I'm not an expert on this, and you're not an expert on this, but sponsorship money seems to bail during tough times. You know what I mean? We got other things to worry about.
Yeah, but
So
like,
I still think you got to be concerned about it.
yeah, but if you look at it, you can't get insurance in a lot of places in America now. But if you turn on a sporting event, there's no problem seeing a commercial about an insurance company. So
That's
I think they're more
hilarious.
selective. All right. I think they're more selective.
That's really
So
funny. We'll advertise, but we won't say yes to insuring you.
yeah, we're not going to insure you, but we're going to advertise about insuring you. So, but
It's
I
the
don't you think?
funniest thing. Oh my God. Oh, it's so true. Oh my God. What was that?
Yeah,
That was a plane with a truth bomb that it just dropped.
yeah. Well, we just came by, buzzed the tower, but I think that Austin the other day was mentioned as an expansion site, and they were like 2 billion. Yeah, no big deal. Because if you think about bigger picture, and I know we're talking about sponsorship dollars and we're talking about putting people in the seats because you need to put people in the seats so they'll buy your merch and their kids will come and support you like you're trying to build it out like a long-term vision. But if you're selling the Lakers or part of the Lakers for 10 billion, is 2 billion to get an NHL team? Is that out of the question in an up and coming city like Austin, where you'll get players, right? Guys that want to play there.
I think
So,
Austin's maxed out as a city.
really?
Yep. I don't think it's going to grow anymore. And I also think it's got a little bit of that Columbus where the college football team will
Yeah.
always overshadow any
Yeah.
professional team that goes in there.
Yeah. There's nothing, hook 'em horns, right?
Yep.
There's
Yeah.
nothing bigger than that university, Texas.
Right.
You're right about that. But at the same time, like you sit there and go, wow, we're not sure. You got to remember even if they're a really good college football team and they make it to the championship, the playoff, they're going to start, they'll have a preseason game and kind of get things rolling at the end of August, right? Sometime, and then they might go through to January. So it's not like you're fighting against them like you would an NBA team or say a Major League Baseball team that you bookend on a Major League Baseball. So I think you're in Austin. You're like, okay, we're just not going to play on Sundays or sorry Saturdays. In the afternoon when they're going, we're gonna watch our schedule around them. But I think Austin is a city that's kind of come out of nowhere, and there's a little bit of fatigue with Atlanta. Is Atlanta new and better this time around? Third time's a charm. I don't know. I just don't know, but I can tell you, going into Atlanta, I was like, man, this place is massive, and I can see why they have a
I get
shine
the
for it.
massive part. I get the
Yeah,
massive part, but you gotta get that excitement to have a team. And I think third time in, there's like, oh, they're back again and a different name. It's not
yeah,
like they're gonna go with the same name, you know what I mean? It's just
yeah.
I just don't see it working. I see them moving back to Winnipeg for a third time.
What do you think? What would you name a team if you could name it? What would you call them if you had to name a team?
In Atlanta.
Yeah, or
The
anywhere. Like if you had to come up
the
with a team
the
name, like
Atlanta
here.
horrible drivers is what I'd call them. It's so the driving there is good. I don't know. I think you gotta go with that. They talk about I think there's only one or two teams that don't have a plural. So it's that team that I always loved that had the tragedy was in Russia was the Locomotive. I love that name. Like something like that. You got to go with like something like that. Yeah.
You know, there's a name that I always thought back to when I was a kid when they was it Junior B here? The Terra Centennials were here, the Calgary Centennials. I love that name.
That's a
But
good name
The Houston Luckies. I just love that name. I don't know why they call them the Houston Luckies.
because they drank, that's what beer they drank. They had a case of
They
Lucky
drive
beer.
the Lucky Lager. But I always
Yeah,
like
that
the
is a good
Houston
name, right?
Luckies. Yeah, the Atlanta Luckies, maybe not, but if they ever put a team in Houston, Houston Luckies, you're welcome to have at her. Because and then the Smithers Totems. But
Totems.
they thought Seattle might go with Totems for a while, but they went with Kraken. Uh, but then the
Vander,
all-time greatest
Vander, what
name
was
ever.
Vanderhoof had a name too, didn't seem to.
Weren't they the Flyers? Were they the
Yes, they
Flyers?
were their Flyers. Yeah,
And then the
Prince Rupert,
Spruce Kings, Prince George.
Prince George, Spruce Kings, and then Kitimat. Kitimat was.
The Winterhawks.
Were they the Winterhawks the first time, or just the Hawks?
I think they were the Winterhawks. But the best name ever, you know it, Prince Rupert,
What were they? I don't.
the Halibut Kings.
No way. The Halibut Kings.
I
Oh
love
man,
that name.
we had a piece of halibut here the other night. It must have been 2 inches thick. It was crazy. I'm just like, where did this come from?
Yeah,
They flew a 900 pound halibut across the country and chopped her up for us. So it was
yeah,
fantastic.
that's awesome. That's awesome. So, yeah, we'll see what Atlanta.
The Halibut
The halibut,
Kings.
the Atlanta Halibut Kings.
If you get us on the boat, don't think we're done. You better put a bullet in us as well.
So, don't be surprised. They went to 84 games and they want two teams. But I know you've been beating the drum and you're going to beat it again next year.
I'm
Just
concerned.
well, because if you think about it,
Your meeting is 10 minutes until it ends. So we got
okay,
to get this wrapped up.
we've covered nothing. We got to start covering the air
Let's see if
travel
we get
here
up.
soon.
Let's see if we
But
upgrade. What happens if we upgrade? Oh,
oh, it could cost you 99 cents.
$13 a month. 2 days
Um,
total.
it's a bit of a
We're,
stretch.
no, we're not doing it. We're just gonna keep going.
Yeah, we're gonna just if the screen just goes dark, that's just the end of our
It's
season.
gonna end at the end of the season. It just goes dark.
Just goes dark. There's nothing left. I think the NHL wants to go two more teams. They went to 84 games, which whatever. They're cutting down on the exhibition season, which I like. But Winnipeg, and we don't want to pick on Winnipeg because we love Winnipeg, but just to give you an example, President's Trophy winner, I think they had 9 or 10 sellouts last year. And so when you have a town that just like breathes their team like Winnipeg does, it's the same in Edmonton. I pretty much you could say all the Canadian cities. Toronto has to share a little bit, but they're massive. And some of the cities down here, there's a little bit more going on when you're not selling out, when you are the heartbeat of the community as far as entertainment goes. That's a concern, and I'm sure they're looking into it, but that's something to keep an eye on for sure as the NHL expands. Not only their games played, but
But
their
teams.
ticket prices and teams, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think can't outprice your fans. You gotta keep it. I do think there was a little fatigue in that nobody talks about in Winnipeg where they could only get to the first round and then we're out. I think people were like,
Mhm.
what's the point? And then they grew as the season went on, they grew with their fan base was growing big back to like they were doing better, right? So I don't know. It's if you give them something good, they'll come out, you know. If you build it, they will come.
Well, they did give them something good, though. I
They
mean,
did. By the
they've
end, but
given
that's
them
what I'm
something
saying.
good. And
But by the end of the season, they were doing really, really well. Like for numbers.
yeah, and you got to be careful because you're like, well, you don't have any playoff success, but you got to get to the playoffs. And Winnipeg's been very good at doing that. They've done a great job. Chevy's done a great job in Winnipeg managing that organization. It's not as easy. It's not easy anywhere. These guys are totally, I mean, they're just night and day on top of this stuff. The work that goes in by these guys, these management and coaches. But in the end, you have to really work, I think, at keeping on pushing a good product out on TV. And we can talk about TNT a little bit as far as we go nationally. You got Sportsnet and ESPN, and TNT is kind of almost, I don't know if it's a cult following now, but it's almost like Shaq, Charles, Kenny the Jet, and Ernie with the
It's getting
like with
there.
the basketball with
It's definitely getting
Biz.
there.
Gretz came in at the end. Liam McHugh's awesome. Anson Carter and Henrik Lundqvist. Kobe Armstrong pops in. Darren Pang. Like they have some guys that come and go, but their base, their foundation is really strong, and it's really funny and it's entertaining. And I think that that's a way where you can offset if you're losing a little bit at the box office, you're gaining viewership and they're still tuned in and excited about your game. And, so you can still generate revenue that way.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I get, you're right. You're right. I concerns me because the game is still so much better live, right?
Mhm.
You should never rely on your TV because the game in order to get fans, they have to see it live. If they don't see the
True,
game,
but
saying, like there's very few that do, oh, I love this because of watching it on TV.
okay, I agree with you, but I'll give you an example of, and
Give
I'm
me an
just using TNT because
example.
there's some other great other broadcasts out there. I got shout out to our boy Rick Ball, my old classmate doing the Chicago telecast with Panger. Those guys are awesome. But at the end of the game, when it's over, and you say you haven't gone to a game in a year or two, but if you watch the post game show
Right.
and they hook you because there's some laughs and there's some fun. Like, I'll give you an example. Biz interviewing Marchand during the playoffs. I mean,
Or even
that's,
Bettman.
like, yeah, Bettman, like, even though Bettman got into it a little bit,
Yeah,
that's
that's
good
what was great
stuff.
about it. Everybody was like, like
Yeah, they're like, oh, Biz. But, we're just using Biz, but they go, all the guys ask questions and they have a smile on their face and they're having fun. And so, somehow you got to keep your hook into them so you keep that interest and you keep generating. You're like, I'd like to go to a game. You know what I mean? Like,
yes,
and
you're right.
so yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, hey, we haven't talked about where you're going. And we were geography was a bit of a challenge for us there, but we figured it out. You're going up to Boston this weekend. Tell
We
everybody
talked
where
a
you're
little
going to
bit.
be.
I'm going
We
to
talked a little
Nan.
bit about it.
I'm
Yeah.
going to Nantucket. I'm doing one show up there for some sort of weird festival. We're staying 2 nights, going in. My wife is thrilled to be going. She was like, all right, what's the hotel like? And I go, it's apparently nice. She goes, I've heard this before. And I send her the hotel. She goes, oh, I kind of like it. So we're staying at the White Elephant Sale or something like that.
Oh, nice.
So
Nice.
yeah, it should be good. It should be good. And just doing one show. And then next week I'm in Chicago, and the week after that I'm in Florida, in Fort Lauderdale. So I'll try to track down the cup. And then next month I'm in Minnesota and Cleveland. By the way,
And you,
I think Cleveland should get a team before Atlanta.
you know what? I love Cleveland. Yeah, Cleveland would be a great, and what a rivalry. Put them right in there, get them in against Chicago and Detroit. Although Chicago and Detroit aren't in the same division anymore. We're going to make a new division. Cleveland, Chicago, Detroit. Guys
I
play each
love
other.
it. The Lake
Play each other
Division.
8 times a year. Yeah. That's cool. That's good. Well, I'm glad Cab's approving of the place you're going to do your work. That's good.
Well, when she comes along, if it's not top class.
That's awesome. Well, how much time we got left? We got some shout
Got
outs.
about to get. Let's do some shout outs. We got 2 minutes and 35 seconds.
Well, that usually takes us about 6 minutes to do a
You
shout
want to
out.
do you
So
want
do
me?
you want to go
I'll
first
do my
or
I'll do my
yeah?
shout out. I'll do my shout out to the East Coast family. Had a great 4th of July. We just sat in the warm water of the quit poking me with your finger. We just
No,
sat in the
because
warm.
the hawk was trying to call me. Sorry.
Oh, that damn
There's
hawk.
the
God,
hawk.
we're too busy, Hawk. But
Hawk,
we
we're
just
trying to
sat
wrap it up here. Come on.
we just sat in the water in the warm water in the bay there off the off out just outside of the just outside of the house, and it was fantastic. We missed you all. Went out to the sandbar, had a couple drinks, and just sat there. And then the neighbor shot off some fireworks, and we wrapped it up. So America,
Yeah, scared the hell out of the dogs and went
yeah,
home.
oh yeah, scared the hell out of the dogs. Everybody kept their fingers, and that's what counts. America.
America. Yeah. Well, we had Canada Day. So,
Canada Day was
and July
same. It
4th.
was great. We did the same thing for Canada Day here at Excel.
Yeah. So we wanted to bookend both of them because we were like, they're such big days, but they're such
Yeah.
great countries that we grew up in Canada, and the States has been great to us. So thank you. I want to talk about, I didn't know if I mentioned this. Colin won our hockey pool. He swept it this year. So congratulations to Colin. That's a shout out at the end of
Oh,
the year.
Colin.
And Mike and Chloe, yeah, he's like, come on, give away my $25 to Colin. Mike and Chloe for running our hockey pool, which is always a lot of fun. They're tying the knot next month, so that's a shout out to them. A couple other shout outs on the sadder side. I hate to kind of bring it down. Ex-teammate Lyndon Byers, rest in
Ah,
peace, passed away. What a character. That guy made me laugh. I played with him in Vegas one year, and LB. And we always used to look at the Luxor light, and we go after a win, we'd be like, "Hey, LB, gonna climb up on top of that Luxor and turn that light green." It's like, because it was always a green light for go out for LB. Great guy. And then I'm up north this week to visit family, but also to celebrate my aunt, and we have a little get together on Saturday for her. So shout out to my Aunt Bev, who drove with my uncle through any weather that it took to get to watch me play junior in Kelowna. So just remember the people as you get through your life that made sacrifices for you. So a little shout
that's
out and
nice.
love to Bev.